Isn't seeking the will of God fundamental to what we're studying?
The answer is yes and no.
It can't do any harm.
It is not really, it does not have a structured answer to that. Okay. Ineffably and invariably, we are connected to the will of God. And I will explain that to you, through quantum mechanics. And see, when we take a particle, let's assume that this Ferrero chocolate is a particle. When you split it, okay, and we take one half of it to Tokyo and the other one stays in Jacksonville. And if you are going to, of course, both of them have consciousness, okay? And if we observe in laboratory constraints, what it is doing in Tokyo, it'll be identical to what it's doing here in Jacksonville, the other half. Okay? This has been proven in laboratory conditions again and again and again and again. Okay, there is nothing extraordinary about it. Okay? We are created in the image and likeness of God. Guess what? We are His split particles. Except God has given us free will, and we are using our free will not to do His will. When we become in the awareness of His will, we will naturally respond to His will. So it is not actually is seeking His will, seeking the awareness of His presence always in our mind. That's where the difference is. Seeking that awareness. That's what Jesus says to Peter. I see what my Father is doing, and I am doing likewise. There is a theory of quantum mechanics in gospel. See? That's what it is. Okay? So it's not actually seeking the will, it's seeking that awareness Jesus had. That awareness of what the Father is doing right at this very moment. So that I do the same thing.
Imitation?
Mm-hmm.
Imitation?
It's not even imitation, we naturally do that. See, do you really think that particle in Jacksonville knows what the particle in Tokyo is doing? No, it just naturally does it. And when we observe both of them in laboratory conditions, they are being identical, that's all. Their mechanics are identical. Okay, that's how it is. So when you come into that awareness, your natural response is going to be His will. So it's not really seeking the will, but you coming into that awareness of His presence, of His will, of what He does, of His love, of His generosity, of His kindness, of His compassion. You become everything.
As of His character, He wants the right thing.
Again, we are looking in a material order.
Well,
you see, when we are doing the right thing, we are quantifying it. Let's not quantify His grace. There is nothing quantity about God's grace. Everything is infinity. Quantities are not relevant in the field of infinity.
okay. But
Okay?
because we know, or we think that we know everything about the Lord, that we would expect Him to be do the
Yeah.
right thing. At least that's me.
Yeah. You know, there is no,
There's no wrong thing if we think about it.
there is no quantity in the field of consciousness. Quantum is there, quantity is not there. Okay? The quantity, it may be there, but it is so insignificant. You know, so in all reality, it doesn't even exist.
This is kind of off the subject,
Mhm.
but you use the word vasanas, is that it?
Which one?
V-A-S-A-N.
Vasana.
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 What is vasana?
Vasana is the habitual stupidity we acquire along the way.
I'm glad I know that, but I don't want to use it.
See, that's really what it is. You know, in Christianity we call them sins. But it's not actually sin, it's not the actual action itself. It is a tendency to commit those sins. See, so it really is a sort of a habitual order in which we derive satisfaction out of the stupid things we do. That's what it is.
Wow. That happens a lot with a lot of people, and sometimes me and other
It
people.
happens to everybody.
Yeah,
It happens to
And
everybody.
we don't even know it.
Yeah. Does it make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Gene, what page did you get that from?
That is, I'm not looking at it, so I'm not sure I can give you the page. But it's throughout the book.
Yeah.
And one of the things that is also in the book is that you should examine your, what is it, vasanas,
Vasanas, yeah.
as part of becoming. You should, I don't know how to put this. I guess it's important to know your vasanas.
It is. It is.
Like an intent that just comes to you. I mean, I don't know how it's used in the book, but that's what I was asking.
See, you would be reminded of your vasanas throughout your life. Okay? Even in my case, okay, you know, see, I have certain relationships in my life. Every single time I come into a relationship, they remind me of some vasanas about me. You know? So, am I learning that vasana about me to get rid of my vasana? No. You know, it is a process of how all of those vasanas would be so learned and unlearned that it can become empowerment on its own.
So it literally pops into your head without you trying.
That's not what I said.
Okay.
That's not what I said. You see, I mean, for instance, you know, if I love somebody, do I have a tendency to love them because? Yes, I do. But is that the way love's supposed to flow out of me? No, it's not. See, so, but I am going to learn about that commoditizing process that's going on internally. That's what vasanas does to me. It makes it into a commodity. The more I learn about it and the more I unlearn myself from it, then my loving is much more generous and, unidirectional than bidirectional. It becomes less and less transactional. You see? But, as a person, even at my age, I am falling in love. And
You're never too old to
Yeah.
fall in love.
exactly.
It's true,
I know.
And
but some people don't believe that.
yeah, and I want to be loved. I want to love. But there is a transactional element to it. Okay, and that transactional element is there because of my vasanas. You see what I mean? That is what I call habitual stupidity.
Well, that works too. But not really. You're kind of, I think, thinking about maybe it is that, but not necessarily true.
Yeah, at least you're aware of it.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's what it is.
That's the sort of thing that worries you. Am I really caring this much about this person or not? And then that's something to think about or
It will.
explore.
I mean, when you come into that awareness, it makes you grow in so many different ways. Only if we pray and surrender. Okay, but on the other hand, if I'm going to treat that my vasanas in an intellectual order, I would never succeed. I'm going to keep on failing, and there comes my next divorce.
God bless you and your thought processes. But it's a good thing you have them.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Is that a word that you draw from your Eastern studies?
Vasana is in the Vedanta, yeah. It's in Hindu religion, it's in Buddhism. And there is a lot of talks about vasanas, yes.
Yeah, because I don't think I've come across that word before.
Yeah, there are many words I use in this book, that is derived from other cultures. But unfortunately, I don't have an English word for those things. So I just define them and I keep on using it again and
Well,
again.
thanks for sharing it, see? We're all growing.
Yeah.